We all know we spent a ton of time here when we first started playing the game, and it looks like it's just as popular as it was then. How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my personal, close to the heart favorites, Old School Runescape, and more particularly, we're going to be taking a look at free-to-play fishing. Alright guys, so if you start out with a fresh account, you're going to be spawned in a location called Tutorial Island. On Tutorial Island, you'll basically get a very basic rundown of all of the skills you'll run into if you're a free-to-play player. After that, you'll get teleported to a place called Lumbridge, which is just a little bit north of me, and you're going to want to run down about 15 seconds to the south. There's a road that you can follow, and it'll bring you here. So this NPC next to us here is the fishing tutor, and the fishing tutor will basically just give you very generic information on the skill and what you'll need to get started. If you have any questions about any skills, these tutors are around the whole area of Lumbridge, so you just want to look for them on the map and they'll give you that same generic information. The other good thing about these tutors is around them there's almost always going to be whatever item it is that you need to actually do the skills. So for example, if you don't have that small fishing net you got during Tutorial Island with you anymore, you can always just pick one up down here. There's always going to be one on the floor, so don't even worry about it. So to get started, you're going to want to pick up one of those nets if you don't have it, and then you're going to look for one of these little areas. I'm using a third party called RuneLight, and that'll actually highlight these, makes it a little bit easier to see them, because if you look really closely, unless you're scrolled in, it's not the easiest thing in the world to see in my opinion, so it helps me, so feel free to get that if that'll help you as well. But basically, if you go ahead and you right click this, you can see that it says net and bait. So there's multiple types of fishing styles, and for this specific resource, you can either net or bait. But at level 1, you're only going to be able to net, so you just want to go in. You can just left click that, and it'll start netting the fish for you. At level 1, you're only going to be able to catch these shrimps. It's only going to give you 10 experience every single one you catch, so it is a little bit slow in the beginning, but as your levels get higher, the rate that you catch certain fish, depending on what level that fish is unlocked, goes up. And you can also move to different types like bait, you can do fly fishing, you can pot fish, you can fish with harpoons, and we'll get to all that later, but for the time being, up until level 5, you're going to want to do this net. For those of us with legs, you just started out, you're not really going to have access to teleports and stuff like that. We are currently all the way down here. This is where that fishing tutor is. This is where we were just fishing. To make it to a place called Port Sarim, which is where the fishing shop is, you're going to have to go west, just a short distance through Draenor, which is another great fishing area, all the way over to where I am now, which is this area called Port Sarim. And inside this little shop right here, which is the fishing shop. You made it. Good job. Now that we're here, give you a small introduction to some of the items that you can buy here. So we have a handful of fishing items. This is pretty much everything you'll really need when it comes to free-to-play fishing. We have our same small fishing net. We have a fishing rod. We have a fly fishing rod. We have our harpoon. We have a lobster pot. We also have bait, the thing we've been wanting for ever since we hit level 5. And then we also have feathers. So you might be wondering why feathers are here. Feathers are what you're going to use for fly fishing. We're going to end up using thousands of them if you decide to, go for 99 fishing and you want to play free to play. Otherwise, what we're going to need right now is some fishing bait. So fishing bait, it costs 3 right now at the store, but as you buy items from stores and RuneScapes, at least ones from NPCs, the more you buy, the higher the price will go eventually. So if you're really gonna buy a bulk of anything, it's mostly recommended to go to a place called the Grand Exchange. You can just look that up. It's the most popular place in the game. It's pretty much an auction house. And from there, you can buy items from other players at different prices, generally for a lot cheaper than if you were to buy just, say, this 1500 fishing bait here. So since we're here and the shop also happens to sell every single fish that you'll run into when it comes to free-to-play fishing, figure we'll take some time to get a little bit more familiar with all of them. So level 1, you got shrimps. You'll catch these guys for a little bit. You'll probably never see them again. Level 5, you have our sardine. This is caught with a fishing rod and bait at a saltwater location. At level 10, you have herring, which is also caught with a fishing rod and bait at a saltwater location. So basically at level 10, if you're bait fishing, you'll be able to catch both of them at the same time, but you'll more than likely get more sardine than herring as it's the lower level fish. Level 15, you'll be able to catch anchovies with a net. Same thing with the sardine and herring, you'll probably catch more shrimp than anchovies. At level 20, you'll finally unlock fly fishing. You'll be able to use a fly fishing rod and feathers at a freshwater location to catch trout. At level 25, this is the only bait fish that's freshwater. You'll be able to use a fishing rod and bait at a freshwater location and you'll catch pike at level 25. At level 30, you have another fly fishing rod catch, which is salmon. This will be feathers, fly fishing rod, and same thing with the sardine and herring. You'll most likely catch more trout than salmon. Level 35, we're finally getting to a couple new methods. This is going to be with a harpoon. At a saltwater location, you'll be able to catch tuna. It's very slow. I don't recommend this at level 35. At level 40, you'll unlock lobster, and you'll catch these with a lobster pot. Same thing as the tuna. They're very slow. I don't recommend this at level 40. And then at level 50, you'll be able to harpoon swordfish. Same thing with the two previous ones. At level 50, it's going to go so slow. So if you're just focused on getting as much fishing experience as possible, definitely stick to fly fishing. Otherwise, if you want to make a little cash, at level 50, I'd probably stay with lobster. First, we have probably the most popular area for fishing since I've started playing RuneScape, at least in regards to free-to-play. It's always popping here. There's always people talking, always people asking for a fire. This is going to be Musa Point in Karamja. And to get here, you're going to want to take a boat from Port Sarim. It'll take you down here, and that's going to cost you 30 gold every trip. But for the most part, a lot of these people here are just dropping their fish anyways or cooking them. But definitely a spot you're going to spend a lot of time at. This here is Draenor. This is another pretty popular location for those first early levels, you know, from 5 to say 30. You'll probably spend a lot of time here. I will say that for lower level accounts, this place might be a little sketchy. As you'll see, there's these dark wizards that are level 7, which are aggressive mobs, so they will attack you if you're nearby. So I'd recommend getting to like level 15 before you come down here. It's very easy to get your combat up to that level, and then you'll have a much better time here. This location might look a little familiar. It's the same exact location as the beginning of the video. This is Barbarian Village. This is where you're going to do the majority of your fly fishing. There's going to be 3 or 4 spots where you can fish. There's going to be 2 to 3 over here, and then 1 over there. They kind of change, but for the majority of the time, this is where you'll find almost everybody that's actually just trying to power level their fishing. They also put in a fire over here because so many people would fish here and train cooking right after, so definitely the most popular location. Lastly, we're going to have this area here, which is actually part of the Corsair resource dungeon. You can get access to this by completing one of the harder quests in free-to-play RuneScape Dragon Slayer 1, as well as the Corsair Curse. The issue with this is a lot of players, if you're just really focusing on fishing, you're not going to be a high level, so doing that quest is kind of going to be a pain. You can cheese it occasionally, but for the most part, if you don't want to do it, don't worry too much, because the difference in how much money you're going to make an hour between here and the spot earlier at Musa Point is just 5 to 10k, so don't really worry too much. You're making almost as much money. After you complete the quest below Ice Mountain, you'll gain access to this additional fishing area that gives us 3 new free-to-play fish. All of them will be caught with the small fishing net, and they are going to be the guppy, the cavefish, and the tetra. While the fishing experience rates aren't the best in the world, this is one of the few places where you can train multiple skills at the same time. So once you catch these fish, you'll take them over to this preparation table. This is where you will gain cooking experience for these fish. Then after they are prepared, you will offer them up at this altar. This is one of the few ways that you can actually get prayer experience in the game, and it's definitely much simpler when it comes to running around and getting bones, or you can just cook a couple fish and throw them on this altar. So I would definitely recommend it if you're playing free to play and trying to train prayer. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any recommendations for games that have similar type skills like fishing, like farming, like mining, I'm definitely interested in taking a look at those. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. It's greatly appreciated. I'll see you on the next one.